can I guess what's keeping you up at night? It's not whether you should start homeschooling mid-year. You already know that you need to. Maybe your kids are struggling academically. Maybe it's bullying. Maybe the school environment is just so toxic and your child's beautiful light is growing dim and you've had enough. All those might be true, but no. What's keeping you up is this. If I start in the middle of a school year, where do I even begin with the curriculum? Do you start at the beginning of a textbook and just work straight through the summer? Do you try to figure out where the public school is in their math book and jump right in halfway? Do you just skip this year entirely and wait until September where you can get a fresh start? Here's what nobody tells you, and probably because they don't even know. Nearly 40% of all homeschoolers start in the middle of a year, which means the where do I start question has been answered a million times. And I'm about to show you exactly how. In this episode, I'm giving you a 30-day framework that solves the practical how of mid-year start homeschooling. Plus, I'm handing you so many free resources today. Sample schedules, assessments, and guides. Your download folder is about to get a workout. We just don't gatekeep around here. So if you're ready to stop overthinking, worrying, and being overwhelmed and start taking action, stick with me. Here's the first thing you need to know. The where do I start in the curriculum question is not a problem that you have to solve alone. Like I said before, nearly 40% of all homeschoolers start in the middle of the year, not in September with a fresh textbook and a clear starting point. In January, in March, in November, right now, whenever their family needed to make the change. It means this is a solved problem. You're not pioneering new territory here. Thousands of families have figured out how to start mid-year. I help moms do it every day in Thrive Homeschool Community, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do it today. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. You can legally start homeschooling anytime during the school year in all 50 states. The school year that runs September to June, that's a public school construct. It has nothing to do with how children actually learn or when your family needs a rescue plan. And honestly, that's what homeschooling often is with mid-year starters. It's a rescue plan and a beautiful one. Okay, now here's where most people get stuck. When you start researching homeschool curriculum, you quickly realize that everything is built around a September start. It makes sense. The scope and sequence assume that you're beginning on page 1 in the fall. So when you're trying to figure out how to start in January, for example, your brain can easily go into overdrive. It just feels like too much. And then you start thinking, oh, can we hobble our way to the end of the year and then I'll figure out how to do this? And the answer is no. And I'm so excited for you that you're here today. And this is what I mean by brain going in overdrive. Let me know in the comments if this is you, or if these are the questions you're asking yourself. If I start at the beginning of the year, will we be doing school through the summer? If I try to skip ahead to where the school was, will my kid have gaps? Should I even buy curriculum, or should I just piece things together to the end of the year? Tell your feels to take several seats. Here's what actually matters. Those are all smart and logical questions. I get it, but they're coming from a school-trained brain. This is not a criticism. This is just facts, and it's where we all started. And it's exactly why you're here today. The question isn't, where is my child supposed to be in 3rd grade math right now? The question is, where is my child actually at in math comprehension? Let me tell you about a mom I worked with last year. She pulled her son out of public school in February because he was failing 4th grade math and just not doing well overall. She was panicking, thinking she needed to somehow catch him up to where the 4th grade math should be. And she had pressure on herself to get him there by May. When we sat down and actually assessed where he was, we discovered that he had holes in his multiplication facts and didn't fully understand place value. Those are 3rd grade, sometimes even 2nd grade concepts. No wonder he was drowning with fractions. So you know what we did? We didn't try to catch him up to 4th grade. We went back to actually where he needed to be. We filled in those gaps and built forward from there. By the end of the summer, he wasn't just caught up, but he was ahead because we built a solid foundation instead of piling more bricks on a cracked slab. This is the magic of homeschooling. You don't start where the system says you should be. You start where your child actually is. And here's the beautiful part. When you start mid-year, you have 4 to 6 months to get curious, to study your kid like they're the most fascinating subject you've ever encountered, because they are, to figure out how they learn best, what makes their eyes light up, what they need more of, and what they're secretly brilliant at. You get to experiment and build a system that actually fits them. Then by next fall, you'll be cruising while everyone else is Googling, can I return opened curriculum and stress eating goldfish crackers? Don't ask me how I know. So the freedom here is in the permission to stop asking, where do I start in the curriculum? And start asking, where does my child need to start? And I'm going to show you exactly how to figure that out. All right, pivot time. And yeah, it's a little awkward, but not that awkward, because here's the thing. Bad curriculum is expensive. Overpaying for health insurance, that's what's bankrupting families. And when you're getting sticker shock buying milk and bread like many of us are these days, you need to find money somewhere. Here's what you might not realize. If you're paying for health insurance through the marketplace or your employer, there's a solid chance you're overpaying by about $1,000 per month. No joke. My family of 6 was paying $2,000 a month on health insurance. That's $24,000 a year just disappearing from our budget. That's when we found Summit Health Share. We now pay $1,000 less per month. Same doctors, same services we needed, way less money. That's $12,000 a year back in our hands for curriculum, activities, saving for the future, or honestly, just a little breathing room. It's not too good to be true. Here's what you need to do right now. Go to summithealthshare.com and take their 10-second savings quiz. Literally 10 seconds. You punch in what you're currently paying, and instantly it shows you what you'd pay with Summit. No phone call, no sales pitch, just your number. Then you can decide if you want to talk to them. When I did this quiz, my jaw dropped. And here's the thing. They have major medical sharing, maternity programs, wellness visits, and plans with free labs and prescriptions included. They even give you the freedom to pursue holistic and functional medicine. They serve individuals, families, groups, and businesses. Most people instantly save 40 to 60% on healthcare costs. And when you're standing in the grocery aisle having sticker shock over basic groceries, that extra $1,000 per month, yeah, that can make a big difference. The link to that quiz is in the show notes. Join thousands of other families who have already figured this out. Go and see your number, because you deserve to know if you're leaving money on the table. Okay, back to the show, though I almost forgot to introduce myself because I dove in kind of hot today. So if you're new, hi, I'm Christy-Faith, 20 years in education, teaching teachers, coaching parents, and working with kids. I'm the author of Homeschool Rising. You can get that on Amazon Prime. And I'm the founder of Thrive Homeschool Community. That's the place where we take families from what in the world have we done? I am overwhelmed to I think I've got this. I've seen what works, what crashes and burns, and what parents stress about that doesn't actually matter. So everything I'm sharing today, battle tested, not theory. Now let's talk about what you're actually going to do in those first 30 days, because this is where most people get completely overwhelmed. Okay, listen closely, because I'm about to tell you something that goes against everything your anxiety is screaming at you to do. And I'm sorry ahead of time. Before you panic at the disco, please hear me out. When you start homeschooling mid-year, your first instinct is going to be to catch up. Like I said earlier, you're going to want to buy all the curriculum, print out all the worksheets, create the color-coded schedule, and immediately start drilling your kids to get them back on track. I know that's the temptation, especially since a lot of you are beginning to homeschool because the system is failing your child. I get it, but please don't do that. Here's what actually needs to happen in the first couple of weeks. Nothing academic at all. I'm serious. The first several weeks of your homeschool journey should be what we call deschooling, a decompression period where your kids and you shed all of that baggage from the traditional school system. This isn't wasted time, although you're going to feel like it might be. It's actually essential time. Because here's what most people don't realize about starting mid-year. If your child has been in a negative school situation, whether it's bullying, academic pressure, anxiety, or just a toxic environment, they need that time, that rest, before they can actually learn again. They've been in fight or flight. Think about it like this. If you've been holding your breath underwater for months, you don't immediately start running a marathon the second you surface. You breathe first. And when I come back, I'm going to tell you exactly what deschooling looks like in your home and why the families who do this well set themselves up for long-term success. Because I don't want to just teach you how to homeschool. I want to teach you how to homeschool so that you love it and you don't quit 2 years from now. And trust me, that's not easy. So stick with me. As a homeschool mom who values a family together approach and leans towards the classical and Charlotte Mason styles, I often struggle to bring my educational vision to life with my kids' diverse ages and learning needs. With all our interests and super packed schedule, bridging that gap between the dreamy homeschool I want and reality, I gotta be honest, it's a challenge. Now, yes, I know perfection isn't the goal, but if you're listening and you could use a little easing of your mental load in your day-to-day, I found a resource that has become the quiet hero of our routine, and it could be a really great option for you too. BJU Press Homeschool Curriculum. Now, many think that BJU Press Homeschool is solely an all-in-one option, and though it does excel in that role, did you know you can also opt for specific courses and tailor them to fit your family's needs, just as I have? BJU Press Homeschool provides the perfect balance of structure and flexibility and easily complements my family's mixed age, family together on the couch learning style. They are second to none in integrating a biblical worldview, stimulating critical thinking, and offering tons of hands-on activities in the lessons. To find out how BJU Press Homeschool can come alongside you in your homeschooling goals too, visit bjupresshomeschool.com or click the link in the show notes. Before we continue, I want to share with you a program that's been a game changer for our homeschool. At our center, we instructed and helped kids through pretty much every math program on the market and know firsthand just how important a solid math foundation is for our kids' futures. As a career educator with high standards, finding the right program that checked all the boxes felt like too tall of an order until one day I tried CTC Math. CTC Math is an online math curriculum for K-12 students with motivating, interactive lessons that allow kids to learn at their own pace. It does all the teaching and grading so you don't have to, and their adaptive lessons adjust so your child is progressing confidently. With CTC Math, your child is getting a top-notch education and you just made your homeschool life easier. Visit ctcmath.com to start your free trial today or click the link in the show notes. Okay, we're back. Let's talk about how to actually assess where your child is and what to do with this information. First couple of weeks, deschool and assess. Like I said earlier, this is the most important part and where most people skip ahead and regret it later. When you give yourself a deschooling phase, and it's really up to you how much time you need, you're doing two critical things. First, you're reconnecting with your child. During this time, let them remember that learning doesn't have to be stressful. Play games, go to the park at 10 a.m. on a Tuesday, bake cookies, watch YouTube videos on World War II history, have conversations that aren't about grades or homework. And second, what you're doing when you're giving yourself this deschooling period is you're giving yourself a hot minute to actually assess where your child is. Not where they should be, but where they actually are. And here's the nugget for today that's going to save you so much time and money. Please don't buy a full curriculum yet. The worst thing to do is to pull your kid on a Friday and start them with a full-fledged pricey program on a Monday. I've seen it done 1,000 times and it always ends up in a disaster, you guys. Because what happens when you buy curriculum too early is you end up spending money on something that might not fit your child's actual learning style, pace, or needs. And then you're stuck trying to force it to work instead of finding out what actually does. Okay, so let's talk about how to figure out where your child actually is. For math, start with a free trial of CTC Math and take their diagnostic assessments. The diagnostics show you exactly where your kid's gaps are, so no more guessing. They're actually designed to help you place your child in the right grade level. And here's the best part. One CTC Math subscription gives you access to every grade level. So you have the freedom to go back and shore up whatever foundations need reinforcing and then move forward on solid ground without having to buy all these separate school years of math curriculum. Now, quick transparency moment, CTC Math does sponsor this podcast, but listen, I only bring on sponsors whose programs I actually use, like, and recommend. And actually, this is the math program that I use for all 4 kids in my family. So of course, I want you to experience it. And it does a really good job at assessing where kids are. So of course, I would want you to experience it. I love it and I believe in it. But of course, transparency is important. So I wanted to make sure that I told you that. Okay, now for reading, there are several free online reading assessments that you can use. Pioneer Valley Books offers a free leveled reading assessment that's designed for students reading kindergarten through grade 7. ROAR, which stands for Rapid Online Assessment of Reading from Stanford, is completely free and examines foundational reading skills for students of all ages. And then there's a San Diego Quick Assessment. That's a simple word list test where children read words of increased difficulty. You can find that free online too and take it in about 10 minutes. None of those guys are sponsored. I just wanted to give you more free resources. Now, don't stress your kid out. Don't act like this is a high stakes test. This is really just for gathering information, and that information is gold because this is going to help you know where to start. I'm going to put all these links in the show notes. Have no fear. But here's one more thing you need to know before buying any curriculum, and that is your homeschooling style. I know if you've never heard of this before, it's going to sound weird, but it's not weird. So let me explain. In the world of education and in homeschooling, there are 9 distinct homeschool styles or pedagogies. You've heard of some of them maybe, like Charlotte Mason, classical, unschooling, Montessori, and there's more. And here's what I see all of the time. Parents figure out where their child is academically and then rush out and buy a curriculum that doesn't match how they actually want to teach. What you want and your values might align more with a Charlotte Mason style curriculum, so the last thing you want to buy is something more in alignment with the traditional school system. Or maybe you want a more interest-led approach to your curriculum, so please don't go out and buy a bunch of textbooks. I'm telling you, this is probably the number one reason why homeschooling parents are miserable in the beginning, and honestly, they quit. It's not because homeschooling didn't work. It's because they didn't stop for a hot minute and figure out where they are, what they wanted, who their kid is, what they want and need, and find a curriculum that fits that. So before you spend a dime on a curriculum, please make this promise to me that you will take my free 5-minute homeschool style finder quiz. It will show you which of the 9 styles actually fits your personality, your family's rhythm, and your educational values. Run to the show notes for that one, okay, guys? Everyone should be starting there, and it's free. So trust me, knowing your style before you buy any curriculum will save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars and a lot of frustration. Okay, so after your deschooling phase, hopefully a couple of weeks, really you decide how much time you need. Now and only now are you going to introduce some gentle structure. Not a full 6-subject curriculum, just a few anchors. Anchor number 1, math. Start with math at their actual level, not their grade level necessarily. If you've done those assessments and you've discovered some gaps, fill those gaps. It doesn't matter if they're behind. If you just shove forward, they're just going to keep being behind, okay? You got to hit pause and build that foundation because trust me, I've been doing this for over 20 years. That will enable them to actually accelerate later. Choose 15, 30, or 45 minutes a day, depending on what your student can handle and how old they are, and get those math juices flowing. Okay, anchor 2 is reading. If they're still learning to read, work on those phonics daily at whatever level they're actually at. If they are already readers, start read-alouds together. That's where you read to them and you have really great discussions. And also make sure that they're reading out loud to you. Talk about the books. This is one of the most powerful tools in education, and it makes books really engaging. And anchor 3, find one thing that they love and do it. Lean into it. If your kids love science, do science experiments. If they love history, watch documentaries or read some historical fiction. If they love art, let them create. This reminds kids that learning can be joyful. We want that back. We want that love of learning in the long run. And in phase 2, after deschooling, that's it. Those 3 anchors, that should be your whole homeschool for a time being. What you're not doing, buying a full curriculum for every subject yet. You're not trying to catch your kid up to where they're supposed to be. No. That's totally not the point. You're not creating an elaborate schedule. You got to figure out what the days are going to look like first before you can do that. And you're not stressing out about covering every ding dong subject. You don't need to. And here's what I'm so excited about. Here's what you are doing. You're starting where your child actually is. You're building confidence and momentum for you and your kid. You're studying your child and figuring out what works best for both your child and you before you spend tons of money on a curriculum that might be wrong. And in doing that, you're reigniting that love for learning. Here's what's going to shock you. By the time you hit week 5, 6, or 7, you'll have such clarity about what your child needs that choosing a curriculum when the time becomes right will be easy because you're not guessing anymore. You're not looking at, oh, that worked for her, so it's got to work for me. No, you don't have the same kid. You have your kid, and they're pretty cool. And you now have the freedom to build an education that's going to serve them so well right now and prepare them for a bright future. I'm so excited for you guys. This is the exact kind of framework that we dive deep into inside Thrive Homeschool Community. I have something called my Failsafe Homeschool Setup that walks you through this step by step with even more intricate detail and support. It covers all the logistics for homeschooling. We'll talk about that in a minute. We're not there yet, don't worry. And if you need help with the deschooling part, because that's where a lot of people get stuck, I have a free guide called 20 Questions to Kickstart Your Deschooling Adventure, and that walks you through exactly what to do in those first 2 weeks. And if this episode was the first time you ever heard the word deschooling, now don't confuse it with unschooling. Those are two totally different things. Grab my book. No, seriously, there's an entire chapter on deschooling in my book, why it matters, why you should do it. I'll put that link in the show notes too. It's right behind me. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm saving the best for last today, but before we dive into that part of today's episode, I do need to have just a smidge of a heart-to-heart with you because I want to talk about what makes our community so special. It's moms like you who help other moms find their way. This happens every day in Thrive Homeschool Community. It is phenomenal. You know, we've never had to kick someone out of Thrive. And right now, you can help a mom who's exactly where you were 10 minutes ago, wondering if she can really start homeschooling mid-year. Every week, I show up here and give you everything I got. Real guidance, practical frameworks, honest encouragement. And it is so important that this podcast is free because I believe you deserve access to solid homeschooling help. And the sobering reality is that podcasts only reach more people when listeners engage. A quick comment, a 5-star review, if I deserve it, sharing this episode with somebody, subscribing, sending it to a friend. It costs you nothing, but it's how other moms find their way here. I wish there was another way, but honestly, it's robots behind the screen that make all of this happen. So if this show helped you at all today, or you think it could help another mom whose kid is really struggling in school, and maybe homeschooling could be the answer for them, would you take 30 seconds right now, even while I'm talking, and just engage with the show in some way? It's not an exaggeration to say that you're literally helping other moms find hope. Okay, thank you for that. It really means a lot. When we come back, I'm going to break down the advantages of starting mid-year. This is the peace of mind part that you've been waiting for and so desperately crave. Stick with me. I've got some news. There's a new reading curriculum that ditches workbooks and drills for fun and games. If you're thinking fun and games sounds a little too good to be true, it's not. 98% of children improved their reading test scores in just 6 weeks with the Reading Skill Set by Love Every. It's a phonics-based program that follows the science of reading, but makes learning to read fun, motivating, and confidence boosting because it happens by playing games and then practicing with just right skill level books. Kids love it and parent educators love it. And it works. Visit loveevery.com/Christy-Faith today and use code Christy10 to get 10% off your purchase of the Reading Skill Set by Love Every. That's loveevery.com/Christy-Faith. You know how feeding a homeschool family can feel like running a 24-hour diner with a revolving menu? Yeah, me too. But here's my secret weapon for keeping everyone fed without losing my mind or blowing the budget. Azure Standard. Azure is a homeschool family-owned company dedicated to providing affordable organic, natural, and non-GMO groceries, health, household, and garden products. In fact, they have over 12,000 options to meet your needs as a health-minded household, all vetted ahead of time to be free of harmful preservatives, food colorings, chemicals, and pesticides. Tired of spending too much on health food? Give Azure a try. Your body and your bank account will thank you later. Use code Christy-Faith15 and get 15% off your first order at azurestandard.com. That's Christy-Faith15 at AZUREstandard.com. Welcome back. This is the part where I flip the script on you because everything we've been conditioned to believe says that starting homeschool mid-year is harder because you don't have a clean starting point. The curriculum is confusing. confusing or you're disrupting the school year. But what if I told you that mid-year starters actually have some significant advantages? Here's the first one. You get immediate relief for your child. That alone is a valid reason. I hope you know that. If your child is struggling, being bullied, drowning in a bad school situation, every day matters. Waiting until September means months more of damage. You know who you are. Starting now means starting the healing now. You can do this. Advantage number 2, you get to experiment without the pressure. And that's when the magic happens. September starters launch into homeschooling with the weight of a new school year. Matching bins, color-coded schedules, high expectations. Every misstep can feel like a failure. There's just more pressure. But you're starting mid-year. You're in pure discovery mode. No grand launch, no performance anxiety. Just let's try this and see what happens. Which means you actually give yourself permission to play, to test things, to scrap what doesn't work without feeling like you failed. Because you know that you're not trying to execute some perfect vision. You're just figuring out what your kid needs one day at a time. And that's a beautiful thing. And here's your secret weapon. While September starters are trying to live up to their elaborate plans and Pinterest boards, you're solving a real problem. Your kid needs to be home. You're focused on what actually matters, their well-being and their progress, not aesthetics and not what it looks like from the outside. You're not spending weeks setting up the perfect homeschool room. You're trying things, ditching what flops, keeping what clicks. And here's what happens. By the time everyone else is launching in September with their fresh planners and high hopes, you've already been at this for 6 months. You already know what works for your family because you've tested, you've already adjusted, and you have found a rhythm. You're not a beginner anymore. You can start next September as a seasoned homeschooler. And how did you get there? You got there by giving yourself permission to figure it out without the pressure. And I'm proud of you. I worked with a mom whose daughter was having panic attacks every morning before school. This mom kept thinking, well, we'll just make it to summer break and then we'll homeschool next year. But it finally got so bad, she decided to pull her daughter out in March. 3 months before the end of the school year. And you know where this is going. The panic attacks stopped within 2 weeks. 2 weeks. She looked at me and said, I can't believe the story I was telling myself, that I had to wait until the end of the school year, that pulling her out mid-year would somehow be wrong or damage her, like there was some invisible rule book that I'd be violating. But there wasn't. I just didn't know I had permission. Where did I even get that? So please, mama who's listening right now, don't let that be you. If your child needs to be home, bring them home. The logistics will figure themselves out in time. But your child's well-being, that can't wait. So I'm handing you the permission slip right now if you need it, because I've seen it done thousands of times. Stop waiting for the perfect time to pull your kid. Stop overthinking where to start in a curriculum. Start where your child is, build from there, and trust that you have everything you need to figure this out. Because you know what? You really do. Let me tell you why. And this is something I'm going to leave you with today that you need to really hear. No one knows your child better than you. Not the school system, not the curriculum company, not the homeschool blogger with the perfect Instagram feed. Only you. You know when they're struggling. You know when they're bored. You know when something is breaking them down instead of building them up. And you know deep in your gut when it's time to make a change. And the beautiful thing is that with today's resources and a little bit of investment in yourself, you can set up the best education for your child in a lot less time than it used to take. There's an army of homeschool moms nationwide who've already made all of the mistakes. We have reinvented the wheel a million times. We've tested the curriculum, figured out the schedules, navigated the legal requirements. You don't have to start from scratch. And here's what's crucial to understand. The secret sauce is you, not a resource or a curriculum or a blogger or anything like that. There's no magic curriculum that's going to fix all of your kids' problems. And there's no perfect schedule that just works for every family. The magic happens when you understand how to set up a homeschool that works for your specific child and your family. And my job is to make sure that you have the skills and confidence to adapt as you go. It's one of the reasons why I have this show. That's why I want to give you everything you need to get started now, whether you join Thrive Homeschool Community or not. So here's what I have for you today. Gotta love some free resources, right? And they're all going to be in the show notes, and maybe you're going to grab all of them. So first, I have my free sample homeschool schedules. These show you exactly what a mid-year start can look like in real life, whether you have kids with multiple ages, different family situations. It helps you set realistic expectations. You'll see you don't need a perfect 8-hour school day. Link is in the show notes for that. Second, download my free How to Homeschool guide. It's actually an ebook, and it walks you through everything to get your homeschool started. It's about, 23, 25 pages. It's pretty comprehensive and it's free. It's one of my most popular downloads. My other most popular download is my curriculum recommendations. You can grab that too. And then I mentioned earlier that when you're in that deschooling phase, I have a 20 questions to kickstart your deschooling adventure download. This will help you understand your child, give yourselves a reset, and rebuild before you dive in. And if you want guidance for when you're ready to do that deep dive, please consider joining Thrive Homeschool Community. Thrive Homeschool Community is where I house my proven frameworks, including the fail-safe homeschool setup, and that walks you through how to stay legal in your state, what questions to ask when you're getting to know your learner, so you actually understand where your child is and what they need. A streamlined step-by-step process to demystify the choosing curriculum process. It's one of the most overwhelming parts of homeschooling, and we completely break it down for you. We also walk you through how to plan your year, meaning your entire year, that whole scope and sequence, your months, your weeks, and your days. And all of these have example schedules and templates and all sorts of tips, tricks, and hacks. It also includes what you really need to get your home ready, and it's way less than you think, and pro tips so that you can start well so you don't freak out on day 3. And plus, another thing that people don't realize about Thrive Homeschool Community is it gives you access to experts that would cost hundreds of dollars per hour if you were to consult with them, but they're in there already. And we do all of this with affordable pricing that won't break the bank. Moms tell me all of the time that they can't imagine homeschooling without Thrive Homeschool Community. Thrive isn't always open, so make sure if it's not open right now that you get on the wait list. I'll put that link in the show notes too. And hey, shoot me an email if you have any questions at all, or tag me on social media. We are building a community here, and I want to be a part of your journey, whether you join Thrive or not. So what to walk away with knowing today? Christy, let's land the plane. You can start homeschooling mid-year, no matter where you are in the year. You don't need to know where your child should be. You just need to figure out where they are. And after today's show, you now have a framework that will get you started. And please know that your child needs you and that you are enough. Now go download all of those free resources that I gave you. Take a deep breath and take that first step. You've got this.
You have my heart.